Hello and welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time we continued the fight with Aoko and Sojiro against the automata. They worked together by, actually they didn't work together. First they separated. Aoko was like, okay, you leave the building, I'll fight this thing alone. And then Aoko went to fight it one-on-one only to almost die with the help of Shizuki getting away. But then Aoko was like, I actually had a contingency plan to blow you to Kingdom Come. We're going to use that now. So they try to activate Plan B, only for Sojiro to fail to bait the automaton out. And it ended up being another one-on-one fight with Aoko and the automaton. And after a while, she escapes after defeating it, seemingly. And then they both end up escaping the building, the collapsing Hall of Mirrors. And at the end, Aoko decides to let him go because she appreciates all the bravery and help that he's been, until we're met with Alice, who seemed to be annoyed that Aoko was going to let this witness escape. But before we hop on to the next episode, which I am actually very, very interested in, just want to check out the archive to see if we have any new things. Okay, so we do not. Thank God, because I did not want to stop midway. So let's see, this was Girls of the Night, Uncharacteristic, Secrets Resolved. I don't really remember what... Oh, okay, no, I recognize these scenes. Okay, nice. I'm glad there aren't any new things because I would probably do them before continuing on, which would be a complete dick move because it is very interesting right now. But like that, we're going to go to the next episode. And Alice has appeared. I'm very curious about her interactions with Sojiro because clearly he's not going to die yet. Night of Witches 2, Chapter 5. The melodies stirred an emotion like nostalgia within them. Something once familiar, but now lost to this world. They believed, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it would play for all eternity. From opening stanza to final coda. It was a mysterious siren song, merry yet longing, that heralded a return from dreams to reality. Oh, that was a cat thing that she had before when she was doing the fight against the other automatons. The night shook. Oh, it's like an Egyptian cat? I think. A song was spun. Now their lost paradise was unearthed. Abandoned dreams. Forsaken to idols. They all responded to the cry of a blue cat. The name of that bell was Diddle Diddle, Banquet of the Night. All fables made possible, all marvels made real, by the magecraft of Alice Kuonji, more magical than magic itself. So she has the ability to make fairy tales or stories real, I think, which is weird. Alice sat perched atop the clock tower like a black bird of ill omen. She smoothed the ruffles of her skirt as if she were preening. There was tension in Aoko's voice as she lifted her head. The calm atmosphere from a moment prior had long since been shooed away by Alice's gaze. Sojiro searched his hazy memory. He could not clearly make out her face at this distance, but he was sure that he had seen her around town a number of times. Where and when eluded him. However, as the tension in the air kept him from connecting all the dots, he's like, "Oh, I gave you that free meal when I was dressed as a cat." And clearly, I was wrong too. Aoko readied her guard and took half a step forward. Unconsciously. From an objective standpoint, it looked as though she were protecting the figure beside her. Alice's silence grew ever heavier. Her eyes, fixed on the ground below her, were devoid of emotion. An indescribable sense of dread and pressure laid claim over the plaza. A bell, a bell? If he strained his ears, he could make out the faint ringing of a bell echoing in the distance. The rippling sound wave seemed unbelievable to be emanating from under the ground. He's like, "Aw." Sojiro stepped back, trying to stay out of the way. It was as though he had been told to go to hell, for the crime of asking if the girl was Aoko's friend.
そうね。仲間思いに当てはまるかは微妙だけど、良くない予感がしたから様子を見に来ただけ。別にあなたの仕事を疑ったわけじゃないわ。
それはどうも。どうせならもう少し早くその良くない予感とやらに気づいてほしかったけど。
Would have been a lot of help.
でもま、ご覧の通り自己解決したわ。夜も遅いし、さっさと帰っていいわよアリス。私の仕事っぷりを疑うわけじゃないんでしょ。
Their eyes locked on one another. Alice's stare was uncomfortably cold. Aoko's was bold, daring Alice to air her complaints. Look at this. I should just put a verses in the middle.
いえ、気が変わったわ。せっかくだし二人で帰りましょう。その方があなたらしいわ。帰りしな、人形の話でも聞かせてちょうだい。
After disposing of the trash.
らしいって何よらしいって。
So Alice is straight up flying. Like I thought she might have been like, you know, toe on the pole, but no. she's just straight up floating in the air.
いいから帰れ帰れ、ぐうたらアリス。部屋に閉じこもって役に立たないムクドリでも作ってろっての。
A disappointed sigh escaped Alice's delicate lips. It seemed that the black-cladded girl was more astonished than angry.
青子、口にしたくないけど、本気？
Quietly, Alice questioned her roommate of nearly 2 years.
呆れた。二人で秘密を守ると言ったのに。まだ半端にそっち側なの？それとも情でも移った？
別に情っていうより私の気分よ。だいたい方針なんてその場その場で変わるもんでしょ。気分ならなおさらよ。そっちこそ一度した約束は絶対守るなんて時代遅れなんじゃない？
Mamaru! Oh man, she was angry for a split second. The proverbial knives were out now. No quarter was given, no quarter taken. Sadly, their partnership was one of convenience, and had not reached the level of mutual understanding. Their version of friendship was both delicate and unique. When a conflict of opinion arose, each would refuse to budge until the other crumbled. Neither was concerned for the other's plight, at least for now. That was how they liked it.
そうね。今の暴言はあなたらしいとは思うけど。
Once again, she let out a sigh, even larger than the one before.
言い争いは後にしましょう。そこの彼をいなかったことにするのは私だけで十分だし。
Finally, she struck straight to the point. As if making to move a chess piece, Alice lifted her slender finger. It was the fork from before. Huh? What's happening? Whoa! Even the simple action seemed mysterious to Sojiro, the same boy who had been hunted by his classmate Aoko Aozaki and borne witness to an automaton. Aoko's violence and an animated doll. Though perhaps far beyond the realm of logic, both these things were derived from reality. As surprised as he had been, there's no need to think of them as total mysteries. However, when the thing appeared out of thin air from a seemingly unrelated gesture, he had no word for it besides mysterious. Sojiro stood motionless, captivated by the stage performer's magic trick, as a girl's single-fingered magecraft turned an attack directed at him. A blue light flew from the side to repel it, annihilating it without a trace.
Yaba.
Oh crap! Aoko immediately regretted her reflexive shot.
どういうこと？約束を曲げただけじゃなく、ルールまで破るつもり？
I love how she was like, she straight up was like, oh crap. The already chilled midwinter air plunged below freezing. Alice looked calm and collected on the outside, but in reality, she was sometimes even more hot-blooded than Aoko, especially when it concerned her familiars. Accidentally destroying one would often result in a week of silent treatment. But maliciously destroying one, Alice would reserve the right to retaliate without fair warning.
あっちゃー、いつかやるとは思ったけど、ついに逆鱗に触れちゃったか。
Though Aoko was shocked at the depth of her own stupidity, she was also in fact a bit relieved. She did not intend to make any excuses, and she had no regrets. If she had broken the rules, then so had Alice.
青子。
なんていうか。
If anything, this took a load off her mind. After all, now there was no going back. Aoko never intended to break her own rules. If there was anything for Aoko to regret, it was putting too little power into her shot.
私的に今夜こいつに死なれるのは困るのよ。なんで日を改めて殺しに来てくれないアリス。いいでしょ、たった1日ぐらい。
Taking on a pro bono case in defense of Suspect S was a socially acceptable thing.
それは市場？
悪い？一宿一般の恩義って割と大事にしてるの、私。
私との協定より。
ええ、時と場合によっては。
That is very Aoko, to be honest. Sojiro's human rights had not been entered into the argument. He's just like, why am I here? The girls were busy pouring oil on each other's flames. The girl clad in black was the first to move, or rather to erupt.
そう。よくわかったわ、青子。私は彼をここで殺す。あなたは彼をここだけ生かす。つまり私と戦うということでいい？
そんなのいいわけないじゃない。
Aoko bit back the retort. She was very familiar with Alice's magecraft, and knew painfully well how many mystics were hidden in Alice's tiny body. The odds of victory were essentially non-existent, and once the first shot had been fired, Alice Kuonji was without mercy. Whether facing a roommate or a friend, a most beloved family member or a stranger. Once Alice began to fight as a witch, she became a heartless, unflappable monster. It's a heartless machine! Aoko advanced another half step forward, as if to encourage herself. It was too late to back down now. The situation was no longer a trivial quarrel over a witness. The bedrock of their so-called friendship had nothing to do with their individual ability, but everything to do with being equals in will. That is why, in order to stay true to herself, Aoko had no room for compromise or deception.
もちろん、あんたを殺すことになっても、そこのバカは生かしきるわ。それに。
Her magic circuits howled as they kicked into gear. Her body, which had been mostly dormant during the battle with the puppet, ignited, preparing to demonstrate its true worth.
それに、どの道最後には殺し合う仲でしょ、私たち。
Damn, from one fight to another. Her courage overpowered any fear she had for her opponent. Tuning her body, her magic circuits, to become like the barrel of a gun, Aoko fired a magic bullet. It was an exceedingly basic magecraft formula. There was no nature interference, no creating of wind, parting of water, or hastening of decay. It was simply the process of converting the imaginary action known as magical energy into something real before releasing it as heat. Thus, Aoko's destructive power was equal to her supply of magical energy. The magic bullets she had used against Sojiro were among the most basic single-action magecraft that did not require an incantation. At her present ability, Aoko's main node of attack, her magic bullet, could be fired at 3 levels of power. These were at the 2nd level. This required about a double-action magecraft, a casting through activation of her crest, combined with a simplified incantation. That was nothing to Alice. However, without blinking, Alice dispersed the shot that Aoko had mustered all of her spirit to fire. Aoko tutted in frustration. A swift sneak attack, magecraft that used a simplified incantation, would not be enough to break Alice's guard.
相変わらずお堅いこと。そのから一段と独りよがりになってるんじゃない？
Aoko provoked Alice in order to disguise her own lack of composure. Somehow, Alice seemed delighted by Aoko's bravado.
売り言葉に買い言葉というやつね。
Those be fighting words.
こういう勢いだけのきっかけは初めてだけど。驚いたわ。こんなくだらない理由でもその気になるものなのね、人間って。
Oh man. Alice giggled. Smiling with a heartfelt amazement, Alice gestured her left hand towards the earth. Oh no, that's a lot of forks. And plates. Zap, 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 zap. Countless utensils shot out from underneath the cobblestone paving the plaza.
しずきくん、後ろに飛んで。
What? What? She grabbed his hand as she shouted, jumping backwards before he even had a chance to respond. As if they had wills of their own, the utensils that had suddenly appeared from the ground gave chase. As the barrier of spears grew around them, Aoko and Sojiro put some distance between themselves and the clock tower.
これで終わり？
Just under 30 feet stood between them and Alice. The lethal weapons that had crumbled to stone beneath them fell short of what Alice had anticipated. They now enclosed the clock tower, making the scene look like the burning of a witch at the stake.
普通逆じゃない。ここは私たちを逃がさないよう槍で周りを囲むものでしょ。
The path behind them was safe. If they wanted, they could try to make a break for the main gate and escape.
いいのアリス。悪いけど逃げられるなら逃げるわよ。
It's just sorry. Just look at his face. He's like, he's like, I can't. Oh, I don't. What do I do? Holy shit! If she could just make it back to town, it would be Aoko's win. All she wanted to do was let Sojiro get away for the night. So if she could get him back to the city, it would be, for the most part, mission accomplished. Uh-oh. Oh, what's that? Why is the liquid flowing backwards? Huh? Or so she had thought. Without even offering a glance at her targets below, Alice carefully and lovingly pulled out a bottle from her pocket.
緑のフラスコ？
Uh-oh.
って確か。やば！とにかくファイヤー！
Her shot was deflected with ease. Gone was Aoko's earlier bravado. It was only natural. Aoko had indeed grown as a mage. Over the last 2 years of study, her studies had progressed well, and she'd more or less gotten a grasp of her own roommate's tendencies and abilities. Oh my god. This had made her conceited enough to believe that, under favorable circumstances, she'd be able to show Alice a thing or two in a fight. Oh my god, look at that! Pop. Alice uncorked the magical bottle. A gentle breeze caressed her neck. A gentle breeze caressed her... Why did I say neck? It was her cheek. Diddle diddle fled as a new player stepped onto the stage. But from where would it enter? The sound of footsteps, a nostalgic parade, approach. Whoa! They brought back the Ferris wheel? Wow. No way. Sojito's still like, I don't know what's happening, man. Unfortunately, it was true. This was a miracle that Aoko Aozaki, an apprentice mage, had never witnessed. Did she turn back time to make all the things work again? The dead came to life. The inanimated awakened. The woods were enveloped by the mist. Fire-breathing lizards lurked in the swamps. Puppets made them merry at midnight. Alice Kuonji's slender fingers had transfigured the entirety of the park, as if gently stroking the back of an elderly cat.
いいわ。ごっこ遊びをしましょう。青子。
So she brought back the entire amusement park back to life. For one night, the wasteland of dashed hope and dreams was restored to its former glory. I'm assuming she erected some kind of barrier, or else this would catch a lot of people's attention. It was an immortal monster ready to devour reality. A dark fairy tale that once unleashed would never let its prey escape. Oh my god, look at it this time. Oh my god.
逃げられるものなら逃げてみせて。
Run if you dare.
どこまで行けるかわからないけど、この夜を越えることができたのなら、
Oh my
あなた
god.
の勝ちにしてあげる。
I don't believe you'll get far, but if you can survive the night, I'll concede this round to you. Damn, she is... Oh man. From one, like, long fight to another. Her declaration marked the start of a desperate battle. The witch in black laughed at her friend. Her musical mirth filled with affection, sadness, and innocent delight. Alright, one thing I failed to mention before is that Witch on the Holy Night was actually announced to get a anime. I think it was announced the same time they announced the localization of the game. So, man, I think it's supposed to be either a movie or a set of movies, but I'm really looking forward to that because seeing this in visual novel form, although it is great and very lovely, give a lot of, you know, descriptions and characteristics and narratives. I always love seeing things in motion, so seeing this in anime form would be a pleasure to watch. Faded Glory returned to Kitsyland. The neon glow of innumerable lights illuminated the night. Speakers filled the air with the sound of vinyl music. Merry-go-rounds, small and large, whirled round and round. All in all, it made for a mind-bending spectacle. It was certainly possible to power the facilities by transmuting magical energy into electricity via alchemy. That said, simply supplying the park with the electricity would not have brought back the life to that which was broken. The young woman did this by not mixing chemicals into a compound, but by melting down divine providence into a witch's brew. What does that mean?
まずいわね。アリスのプロイは何個か見てきたけど、今回のは桁が違う。
She's so pissed.
セット。
Stifling her anxiety, Alko fired up the crest on her right arm. If magic circuits were a mage's engine, then their crest was a software that assisted their magecraft. For the fledgling mage Alko, this was her trump card. All she had to do was supply magical energy to her crest-based formula. It may not have been the strongest magecraft, but it was hers, proof that she was the successor of the Aozaki lineage.
講師2層、直流数門。
The pattern of her crest shifted to execute the formula, which then connected to her magic circuits. The process resembled trains changing rails, a puzzle involving dozens of circuits. She constructed it as swiftly as possible without sacrificing the quality of its construction. Instant magecraft cast without an incantation would not be enough to reach Alice Kuonji. Alko had gauged the strength of Alice's defense with her initial shots. She would dial up the power 5 times the next time, driving 20 tons of force into her target. Alice had the protection of the thick, hanging fog and a dense barrier around her. However, this attack would be more than enough to pierce both. If Alko struck home, at best, it would cave in Alice's chest and end the fight. At worst, it would at least knock Alice down from her position atop the clock tower.
そろそろいいかな。
As always, there was one guy who spoiled the deadly tension, pulling Alko out of her killer mode. Sojiro had been looking back and forth between Alko and Alice in confusion.
それでどういう話になったの？
Well, at least he bothers asking. He said it like he might ask for directions to the train station. He's like, really? Really? Right now? Do you not see me trying to save your ass? Normally, she would have lashed out screaming in response, but his entirely serious tone shocked her more than it angered her. Is this my life now? Aoko swallowed back a sigh and returned her focus to activating her crest.
交渉は決裂。ちょっと怒らせすぎた。あの子から見れば、まあいい機会だし、遊園地ごと私を亡き者にしようって腹ね。
Sojiro tilted his head as if begging for a simpler explanation. Not for his life, just to understand.
割とあの子に恨まれてるから。捕まったが最後、どんな風に殺されるか想像すらできないわ。要するに、あんたも私もあの子をどうにかしないと生きて帰れないってことよ。
そんなとばっちりだ。
Oh, she was trying to protect you.
まあ、そういうことになるかもね。
As Sojiro protested in a tone wholly inappropriate to the situation, Aoko let out another blast ripped from her right arm. Wow, that looks so cool. She was not aiming at Sojiro though. A little earlier in the day, and Aoko would have been happy to do exactly that, but now her attention was focused on the girl in black, atop the clock tower. Oh, she has a lot of horsepower. She could hardly grasp the situation amidst her astonishment. She fired the strongest, fastest magic bullet she had the ability to conjure, and Alice blocked it. That was to be expected. When Alice set her mind to defending herself, such an attack was child's play. But what just happened? Something she had never seen before had leapt to Alice's defense. A team of horses? A plague of locusts? No, those things existed in this world, unlike what Aoko had just witnessed. Normal creatures could not form like a spontaneous cloud of fog and then dissipate just as quickly into the night. Night sky. Oh, whoa, no. Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. Are we doing Five Nights at Freddy's now? Oh no. Impossible things moved in impossible ways. Alice was not even supplying them with any power source. Those things never needed power in the first place. Those broken and discarded things that did not follow the rules of mankind. Why did anyone ever design that? This was an invasion of fairy tales. Look at that horse! What the heck? Compared to them, the automaton looked quite merciful. Autonomous puppets were products of magecraft, but even then, they behaved as puppets should. These newly animated things, however, were nothing of the sort. Empty vessels became living creatures. Dummies warped into malformed beings. There was a fog so dense with magical energy, it visibly spread onto all corners of the park, bringing with it a monstrous welcoming party that easily numbered over 1,000. Man, we're seeing this face a lot this night. Bam, 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 bam. Spurred on by the shuddering sensation running down her spine, Aoko fired a barrage of single-action magic bullets. You just made more balloons for me. Oh, thanks, Aoko. Her impulsive attack scattered futilely. The knights of the merry-go-round soared into the sky. Green, fire-breathing lizards flocked. The bakeries opened their doors once again, and human-sized loaves of fresh bread marched on from their ovens as platoons of newly baked soldiers.
Aozaki, uchiro!
Aoko and Sojiro were completely surrounded. The Ferris wheel creaked as it gently turned. A rickety train car raced about the roller coaster tracks, with Kitsy, tears streaming down its face aboard. It was a grossly twisted fantasy. The girl in black reigned over the insanity-fueled park. Oh, now we're screwed. Alko was transfixed by the scene unfolding around her. Then she realized what was happening.
そうだ、これは。
Alice had once told her of her Meinster familiars. Among them were 3 of particular notoriety, one of which she recalled being capable of something similar to this. And it was called...
プロイキッシャ、フラットスナック。
I don't know what that is.
青崎だから後ろ。
Struck by Alko's bullets, the creature exploded into splinters. It was clear that Alko's shots were becoming more powerful, but it was also the case that these beings were less robust than your average automaton.
しずきくん、こっち。
Alko turned away from the clock tower, grabbed his hand, and began to run.
青崎。
ごめん、これ無理。逃げるわよ。
逃げるってどこに？
どこって、とにかく行けるところまで。
She shouted as though trying to persuade herself as she valiantly cleared a path. Alko's magic bullets flew like a scream. Blowing away the creatures that stood in their way, or rather, simply gathered around, she made a hole for them to escape through. Damn, I didn't think you'd actually see them like flying. All the things that she's shooting at. Are you ready for this? Magic bread. I was gonna say the magic breads. Magic bullets exploded like blue fireworks. Alko and Sojuro ran down the bumpy brick road. Their bond, forged in the heat of battle, went far beyond mutual convenience. They headed for the park's exit at full speed without exchanging a word or look. The weirdness only extended as far as the park's border, so they would be safe as long as they made it outside. But, speaking in pure numbers, the difference in strength was 2 versus an army. Or rather, 1 versus an army. Sojiro was hardly useful in this situation, and manpower wasn't really the issue here, since they were facing puppets.
さっきの大丈夫？上からこうでっかいハサミが落ちてきたけど。
Alko shouted as she blasted away the monsters that stood in their path. There was no time to stop for her breath, or even to look back.
なんとかギリギリ。
As Sojiro pursued, his voice too had naturally become shrill. 5 minutes earlier, they had broken out of the siege at the plaza surprisingly fast. It seemed that the residents' awakening differed case by case, with larger creatures taking additional time. Oh, so the big ones are being saved for the end. Oh
ラ
no.
ッキー、朝に弱いタイプばっかと見た。
Oh, look at that face. That's the happiest I've seen Alko, other than when she's about to kill Suzuki. Alko joked that she mowed down the small fry that popped up. But then, without warning, something outrageous extended its way down from above them. Oh my god. It was the claws of a 60-foot lobster adorning the roof of the seafood restaurant. Why? Why? Its pincers were like a guillotine. As Alko and Sojiro cut across the front of the restaurant, the Red King pressed in at tremendous speeds, keen on splitting them each into 2. At least it's not like what do you call those? One of those mantis shrimp. You ever see that Onion article about the mantis shrimp? That thing is one of the most hilarious things I've ever read.
しずきくん、Uターン、こっちはダメ。
The gate was just on the other side of the restaurant, but they had to take the long way around in order to lose the giant lobster snapping at their heels. Look at her now, she's like, ah! Waiting along their detour had been the horde of monsters, too many to count.
なんとかギリギリ。
Sojiro called out in response, recalling just how narrowly he had avoided his head being severed clean from his body.
って前。うわ、なんだあれ。焼きたてか。
そうみたいね。要するに下級兵士よ。
Alko halted her sprint and set her crest in full operation.
距離7、6、 5メートル。
At this
あの程度なら
distance,
スナップだけで事足りる。
sliding along the brick path, she brandished her right arm. She loosed a shower of magic bullets. Snap was a single action spell that favored rate of fire over power, and it mauled the monsters with satisfying pops.
青崎そっちも。
了解。
Oh, they're working together. Blue explosions bloomed along the lamplit promenade. Alko's current of fire fanned out like a beautiful star mine fireworks show. The toy breadmen turned to charcoal.
いける。数でこそ押されてるけど、この状態が続くなら逃げ切れる。
Nope.
しずきくん、そっちは。
いない、空いてる。ここからなら入り口の東側に出られるはずだ。
With a magical barrage that would leave an average spellcaster blue in the face, the novice mage broke through the siege. Odds Robin, meanwhile, a single bird keenly watched everything unfold. Okay, we're back. Chirp. Cheep, 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 chirp. The moment the blue bird descended into its master's field of vision, it made its high-pitched call. The girl listened expressionlessly to the report.
構わないわ。予想通りよ。撃つこと、壊すことしか脳がなくても、青子の魔力の使い方は波じゃないから。
The robin flapped its wings as it tweeted in response. Perhaps it was criticizing Alice for complimenting Aoko, or perhaps it was jealous of Aoko for being complimented by Alice. Alice could barely make sense of its chirping rant. Aoko Aozaki was a novice mage. Until just 2 years ago, she was someone who grew up with no background in magecraft. Compared to Alice, who was raised as a witch from birth, Aoko possessed far less talent and experience. Winning was an impossibility for Aoko. In a contest of skill in magecraft, 10 times out of 10, Alice would be declared the victor. However, a battle to the death was a completely different story. Alice Kuonji was not a mage suited for battle. Aoko Aozaki, on the other hand, was built for it. In a contest that pitched magical energy against magical energy, even Alice would concede that Aoko had the upper hand. Aoko's manipulation of magical energy was extraordinary. The scale of her magic circuits was smaller than that of Alice's, but the rotational speed, durability, and quality of magical energy produced, not to mention the efficiency, were otherworldly. That was Aoko Aozaki's hallmark. Though she had many failings when it came to handling sophisticated formulae, in just 2 years of practice, Aoko had surpassed Alice in the simple formulae that merely required an energy input. She also had genius-level instincts and adaptability. Though Aoko was not particularly proficient at executing magecraft, she was terrifyingly fast. If she had been born outside the Aozaki clan, she would have doubtless risen to fame as a competitive sharpshooter.
でも、残念ね。
In a straight shootout, Alice did not stand a chance. Alice Kuonji had never bothered to learn primitive magecraft like magic bullets in the first place. Oh, she was the classic puppeteer. Her familiars would carry out all of the particulars of battle as her arms and legs.
制限時間には気づいているわよね、青子。魔力はいくらでも貸してあげるけど、あなたの魔弾はあと半時で値崩れするわ。
Chirping as if in agreement, the robin took flight. It had been nearly 10 minutes since Alice had made the amusement park into her dominion. To what would the green frog... Oh, that's a fog. To what would the green fog give birth next? Aoko and Sojiro, still running about, would soon come to understand the gravity of their situation. Oh no, Kitsy final boss! Super Kitsy.
しずきくん、正門ってこっち？
ああ、その店を曲がれば出口だ。
No, it isn't. It's gonna be blocked. Running non-stop at full speed had them at their limits. Their breath rags, the two flew around the corner. Amusement park though it was, this was still the infamous Kitsyland. It would have taken a high school student 20 minutes to sprint the entire circumference of the park. And though they were now intimately familiar with the park's geography, it was changing beyond recognition. He's still doing that face. The transformation was not limited by the park's residents either.
青崎
何を
言いたくないんだけどこの遊園地広くなってないか
It was. Their problem wasn't as mundane as mistaking the location of the exit. They keep having like these random typos. Their problem wasn't as mundane as mistaking the location of the exist or exit or getting lost in the terrain. No, the park was warping and twisting in upon itself. Even now, its structure was expanding and growing like that of a living creature. Soon, the pair noticed that the mob encircling them had grown even stronger. Entrusting her back to Sojiro, Ako summoned all of her effort just to keep from whining. No one would have thought twice if it had just been Sojiro cowering in shock or terror. But Ako doing the same? She bore responsibility for causing and then dragging him into this mess. She could not afford to succumb to panic.
大丈夫落ち着け私遊園地の果てはある遠いけど鉄柵はちゃんと見えるフラットスナークだって制限なしってわけじゃない外に逃げるって選択は正しいはず現状外までは目算で1キロぐらいだけど
Up until now, they had been too concerned with simply running. Their breathing had become labored. If they had to run another mile without rest, they'd end up collapsing along the way.
青崎体大丈夫か
The whisper from her behind pulled Ako back to reality.
大丈夫だけどちょっと一息入れたいわね
賛成ここから休みなしで外周まで走るのはやめた方がいい
驚いたしずきくんも外まで走ろう派とは
After saying this, she let slip a giggle. Far from debilitated by panic, her comrade in arms had been analyzing the situation and forming an escape plan.
ちょっとだけ建物に逃げ込むのは
気は進まないけどそれしかないわね
I thought she would be just, control the buildings or something. The breadmen had them completely surrounded. Perhaps this might have been the problem for an average person, but for an Alco, breaking through their formation to get to the building would be a cinch. The issue was...
問題はどんな店を選ぶかってこと
She considered the characteristics of the transforming park. What would pose a danger, and what was safe? The most important factor was not the strength or complexity of the building.
そうだ選ぶならあの単純さで正しいはずしずきくんあっち
After routing the monsters, Ako hopped behind the counter, soon followed by Sojuro.
カウンターに隠れてて
Like she was in a western shootout, Ako squared off against the monsters, using the counter as cover. So they're in a bar?
Bingo! ここならスナーク化しないんだ
After assessing the current state of the enemy, Ako sat herself under the counter.
あいつらは
店の周りで地団打踏んでるわ理由があってねあいつらはここには入ってこられないのよ
And why? Ako gave the perplexed Sojuro a grin and took a deep breath. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief and fatigue.
とりあえずコーヒーブレイクねここは遊園地の中でも遊びのない場所だからあいつらにとっては鬼門なのよ
It chose the boringest place. So it worked because it was boring and they don't want to be
レ
bored.
ジスターも調理器具も最近のものだし擬人化されたマスコットもないしスナーク化するにはちょい文明犬すぎるってこと
Oh, because I see. Alice's domain is anything that's like fantastical or fairy-like or like fairy tale-like, and this place is just, I don't know, McDonald's. I don't know, and there's just nothing for her to control. It's outside of her domain.
スナーク。
あいつらの名前よ。つけたのは私じゃなくてアリスなのかしらね。あの子の性格的にちょっと想像できないけど、まあとにかくそういう名前。
Perhaps now at ease from knowing that they were safe, Sojiro seemed enthralled in her explanation. Ako could not help but chuckle as Sojiro nodded sagely. It was certain that he had no idea what she was talking about. Normally, this would have irritated her, but this time, she was grateful for the warmth of his strange sobriety.
それはともかく、調子良さそうだな、青崎。
Mistaking her smile for composure, Sojiro broke into a smile himself. It was just another link in the chain of misunderstandings, but there was no need to redress it.
あれ？あなたから見てもわかる？私のマダンの威力が上がっているの。
そりゃ、ミラーハウスで散々追いかけ回されたからな。あの時と同じ動作なのに物騒さが増していれば嫌でもわかる。でもいいのか？確か数に限りがあるとか言ってただろう。もう随分打っちまったけど、20、30じゃ効かないぞ。
It was a lie!
あんた、時々あれよね。
ん？
Her opinion of him improved, just a little bit.
なんでもない。私のマダンの威力が上がっているのは単純に魔力の濃度の問題。さっきから霧がかかってるでしょ？あれ、全部魔力なのよ。弾を撃つための燃料と思って。
Ah, there we go. Magical energy was divided into two broad categories. First was odd, produced inside a mage's body. Second was mana, which filled the atmosphere. At the moment, the amusement park had turned into a fairy tale land, overflowing with mana. Although it meant nothing to the average person, to a mage, it was a paradise where spells could be cast as much as one pleased.
じゃあ残り魔力とやらは気にしなくていいのか。注意すべきは怪我と体力だけ。
まあ、個人的な責任においてはその限りね。
Sojiro breathed a sigh of relief. From Sojiro's perspective, more so than the monsters that she mowed down, Ako was the biggest bully on the playground. He had been concerned about what would happen should her magical energy be exhausted, but luckily for him, she was far from surrendering her crown.
頼りにしてくれるのは嬉しいけど、ぬか喜びよ。あんな雑魚たち、ただ動いているだけのガラクタなんだから。スナーク本体は当然として、アリスが他の童話の怪物を出してきたら、私じゃどうにもならない。
他の童話の怪物？遊園地をこんな風に変えたやつ以外にまだいるのか？
そう。プロイキッシャーって名付けられた、私たちでさえ目を背けたくなる反則。
Floyd Kickshaws.
不可能な夢物語をも再現する時代に取り残されたデタラメよ。
Ah, that's what she used. Got it. Huh? Sojiro's expression seemed to be calling her out on the hypocrisy.
あのね、私たちはちゃんと現代に寄り添った魔術師よ。できないこともあるし、当たり前のことだけど、近代兵器にはかなわない。20世紀、まあいろんな戦争の後押しで兵器の進化は私たちを超えちゃったから。けどあの子のは違う。どんなに人間の技術が進歩しようと関係ないって怪物なの。例えばあのブレッドマンいるでしょ。
I love this look so much because she only uses it when she's pissed, but for some reason here they're just using it as a looking to the left like image. I don't know why, but I love this. I love it.
あいつには自動拳銃とか効かないわよ。多分意味が分かっていないから。
Ako casually gestured outside past the counter.
アリスの使い魔は全てが空想によってこねられた神秘なの。前提からしてありえないことだから、通常の物理法則と折り合いが悪い。空想と現実は両立しないっていうごく当たり前の理由でね。
なるほど。ブレッドマンってのはあの動く焼きたてパンのことなんだな。
Sojiro seemed to have ignored the majority of Alko's explanation and only reacted to the part that caught his curiosity. So those bread men are made of bread. Ah.
話を戻すけど、あいつらと近代兵器の相性は最悪。ロケット弾でも効果はないわ。意思の疎通、秩序の共有ができてないから。プロイキッシャーにとって彼らの世界には存在しないもの、意味がわからないものは触れることなく無産する。
Wow, that was broken. If I don't believe in it, it doesn't exist.
彼らに通じるのは同じ神秘を帯びた魔力だけっていうデタラメぶりよ。もう完全に概念空間っていうか概念宇宙っていうか。
Yeah, we're just like Suzuki. What do you mean?
要するにあいつらは伝承防御っていう特別なルールを持っていて、
Folklore
単純に
defense.
強い力、強い魔術じゃ効果は薄いの。元になった童話にちなんだ欠点をつかないと倒せない。ギリシャ神話のアキレスあたり分かりやすい例えなんだけど、知ってる？
Everyone knows. Sojiro shook his head.
そう、無事帰れたら飛び回ったりに教えてもらって。定番だけどいい話よ、あれ。
Yes, Toby Maru. Sojiro was feeling pretty lost, but he did his best to grasp the situation. He thought that the ploy kickshaw were scary enough to chase Alco and the puppets from before out of the house barefoot. Certainly, the scene before him, the scene before them was the stuff of nightmares. But Sojiro had a different way of thinking.
やっぱり青崎の方が怖くないか？
あんた死ぬの？
She's like, I already regret this. I'm gonna fire this right at you and hopefully make amends with Alice. She's so ready. Sojiro waved in protest, silently pointing that she had made his case for him.
あのね、今私たちを取り囲んでるのはおまけに過ぎないの。アリスにとってあのブレッドマンもロブスターもソーセージ屋のミンチマシーンも全部が全部私が撃ってる魔弾より価値がない。いい？あの動くマスコットたちはね、ただのおまけなの。アリスが解放した童話の怪物の一呼吸みたいなものなのよ。
呼吸ってこれが？
私だって考えたくないわよ。でもそれが現状。たった一体の童話の怪物だけで私たちは手一杯。そういうわけだからアリスがあと一体でも追加したら諦めて。
追加ってこれに制限はないのか？
あの子が出し惜しみしなければまだ何体かストックはあるでしょうけど、まあ成立する条件はあるわね。例えば川がないと目を覚まさない怪物もいる。この遊園地噴水はあるけど川はないでしょ。元になった童話縛りなの、あの子の使い魔は。
So being a fantasy land, like as the amusement park is, she's able to control so many things. Wow.
童話ってかけそばとか？
ここに川がないのは不幸中の幸いね。もしあったらもっと直接制圧に向いたやつが出てきてた。
We've saw that before. Alco continued, completely ignoring Sojiro.
話の続きだけど、アリスの魔術の基本はマザーグースって知らないか？イギリスの歌で遊び心に富んだメルヘンチックな内容よ。ただそっち系のプロイキッシャーは怖くないの。みんなそれなりになんとか魔術にも落とし込める範囲だから。
聞きたくないんだけど、そっち系じゃないのは？
マザーグースを下地にしたとある創作童話系。あの子のお母さんが好きでね。こっち系のはどいつもこいつも尋常じゃない。で、
damn it.
この遊園地を生き返らせたのはあの子のお母さんが好きでね。こっち系のはどいつもこいつも尋常じゃない。私たちから見ても勘弁してって言いたくなるわ。で、この遊園地を生き返らせたのはこっち系よ。多分フラットスナークってやつだと思う。私も聞き流していたから詳しくはわからないけど。
Sojiro swallowed the discomfort, making its way up his throat. He really wanted her to explain things a little less vaguely, but something she just had to say necessitated further investigation.
待て青崎、 あの子の話を聞き流したってなんで？
いや、説明してもらったのは随分と前だし、あの頃はアリスの話あんまり信じられなかったのよね。私が素人だと思って大げさに自分の魔術を語ってくれてるな、舐められてるなとか。
In truth, if anyone hadn't taken the lesson seriously, it was Aoko. She would learn that lesson firsthand soon enough, when she experienced just how real Alice's monsters were. There's so much foreshadowing, it's like, yeah, the monster's coming, the monster's coming! She'd also discovered how heretical the Meinster witches truly were in the world of magecraft.
その聞き流した内容は？
何でも強力な結界を張るプロイだって。アリスが受け継いだプロイは山ほどあるけど、その中でもえりすぐりの一つよ。捨てられたもの、忘れられたものを童話的に蘇らせるやつで、今まで誰も破ったことがないとか。それでついたあだ名が触れられぬもの。
The Untouchable.
フラットスナークじゃないのか？
それもあだ名。とにかく正体がわからないやつばっかりなんで、一つの個体に複数の名前が付けられるの。フラットスナークはその中でも正体不明さはトップランクのデタラメぶりよ。あなたルイス・キャロルのスナーク狩りって本知ってる？
いや、そもそもルイス・キャロルと
Who is he?
そっからか。ドジスン教授はそうね、特殊性癖を持った妄想紳士ってとこ。まあこっちは別にどうでもいいか。人によっては時間の無駄だろうし。今重要なのは彼が残した著作の方。スナーク狩りはね、スナークって呼ばれる正体不明の怪物を捕まえようと奔走する冒険家たちの話なの。キャロルらしい皮肉ばっちり、支離滅裂、意味不明、結末不在の本当に困った本で、一行は島で苦しみつつ最終的にはスナークを見つけるものの、見つけたベイカーは唐突に姿を消して終わってしまう。
Well, I've never read this book, but that sounds... Wow, okay.
よくわからないもの探しに奔走する人間の風刺なんだけど、この遊園地において誰がベイカーで何がスナークかは言うまでもないでしょ。
Akko elected not to share this, but Flat Snark had other popular names as well. The Enigmatic Island, the five-dimensional plane. These names were not given to it by Alice, but rather muttered by mages whom the Meister defeated. In mathematics, snark was a term used in graph theory to refer to contradictory and impossible planar graphs. A plane proven to be unable to exist in this world was given the name, apt for an ill-fated existence, paradoxical in nature. The fairy tale announcer ascribed this name was said to hold no form discoverable by man. Akko also declined to mention something else. Flat Snark was a fairy tale monster that could grow. It would hide somewhere in the amusement park, continuously exhaling magical energy until the park completely transformed into a fantasy land.
脅かしてもしょうがないし。
何か言ったか？
別に。簡単に言って童話世界の再生がフラットスナークの力なの。この遊園地との相性は抜群でしょうね。何しろ元々が童話を元にした遊び場だから。
Yep. If this had been a business district, for example, Flat Snark would have posed far less of a threat. At most, its power would be limited to projecting the shadow of a dinosaur into building window panes.
あ、だからここは安全だって。
Sojiro realized something was wrong when he noticed the glutinous liquid dripping onto his neck. He's like, oh, we're safe. Oh, they were up front and up close with his face this time. He looked up at the ceiling. Their eyes met. Before he had a chance to think, Sojiro hopped up from the floor. Taking the initiative, he jumped out from behind the counter. Busy trying to stop him from committing an act of suicide, she also came to her feet. Immediately, she knows something brought to life overhead. Oh my god. Well, that ain't safe no more. The gargantuan mouth clamped shut. With no mascot to speak of, the burger joint itself began to transform into one giant monster. Oh, that's what I was saying. I was like, I thought she could control the buildings.
なんで天井にピエロの絵なんて描いてんのよ、あの店。普通もっと違うところに労力割かない？そんなにピエロが好きなら入り口にでも飾っとけ。
Alko aired out her grievances as she ran. There was no safe haven left. Moment by moment, the last remnants of civilization were being eroded away by fairy tales. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it here until there's some dialogue. Oh my god, that's a dragon. Oh my god, there's that thing too. Alright, yeah. The amusement park had reached the final stage of snarkification. It's snarking time. Oh, but yeah, oh my god. Alice is... We saw what she was capable of in the 7 days of spinning. But holy crap, she is a monster. Oh my god. Or at least she can summon all these things that are honestly quite terrifying in her essentially optimal place. Maybe that's one of the reasons why she suggested the House of Mirrors. Because, like, she knows that she would bring him here and it would be the perfect ground for her to do her thing. Oh my god. But yeah, it's just more interaction between Sojiro and Aoko, and I love it. But I really want to... I thought there would be something. I thought we'd get an explanation to his bandages, but I guess not. But we'll continue with the snarkification next time. Until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!